into authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us, from personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Facebook sippers. Good morning, YouTube sippers. Good morning, and Twitch sippers. Good morning. We are all gathered here this morning to sip some tea on the multiple dead in fatal massive plane crash in San Diego. Let's get into the devastating carnage left behind in a San Diego neighborhood when a plane collided into the neighborhood and killed multiple people. Okay. Please lift your teacups up so it can be filled this morning and we could get into the tea of the San Diego neighborhood tragedy. At least 3 out of 6 people on board a small plane were killed when it crashed into a San Diego military housing neighborhood on Thursday. Minutes before the crash, the pilot expressed concerns about the foggy weather to air traffic controllers. Let's take a listen to this.
Filmed himself boarding the aircraft and shared a photo of himself. The small plane left a trail of fire through one of the largest U.S. military housing neighborhoods in the country.
We got multiple explosions over here. We're doing evacuation.
Firefighters scrambled to douse cars. Families rushed to safety. This is what Ruth Lutz saw when she went outside.
It feels like I was in a movie, but in live, and I was just like, wow, this is real life.
You ran out with your pajamas on your back, that's it?
That's it.
Just before 4 in the morning, a Cessna 550 jet crashed into the neighborhood during foggy weather. NTSB investigators say it first clipped a power line, then crashed into a home and multiple vehicles.
Here you can see that its trajectory came through this direction, took out the front of that house, and it ended up here to the right behind me.
At least 3 people were killed, all of them believed to be on the plane. Among those feared dead, Daniel Williams, the former drummer for a popular hardcore Christian metal band, The Devil Wears Prada. He filmed himself boarding the aircraft and shared a photo of himself at the controls. His father confirmed to CBS News he was on the plane. Minutes before the crash, the pilot expressed concerns about the weather to air traffic controllers.
Miramar automated weather for 0955 Zulu with wind calm, visibility 1/2, and indefinite ceiling 200.
6 Sierra. All right. That doesn't sound great, but we'll give it a go.
NTSB investigator Elliot Simpson.
We plan on spending today, tonight, and all of tomorrow on scene, documenting the accident site.
Now, after this crash that caused all this damage, you can still smell the jet fuel in the air. About 100 people were evacuated, and many who fled the flames won't be able to go back home until the NTSB completes its initial investigation.
Carter Evans in San Diego. Thank you, Carter.
All right, massive carnage. A pilot is deceased, and there are multiple fatalities in the San Diego plane crash. Victims identified as Sound Talent Group, STG owner Dave Shapiro, and former drummer of the band The Devil Wears Prada, Daniel Williams. Oh my God. I almost thought that was Jay-Z's lawyer, Dave Shapiro. I wonder if there's any relation. The crash occurred around 3:45 a.m. in the Murphy Canyon neighborhood of San Diego, sending shockwaves through the local community and music industry alike. The Cessna 550 Citation II aircraft, believed to be traveling from Colonel James Ibarra Airport in Wichita, Kansas, oh my Lord, was scheduled to land at Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport. According to FlightAware, the plane was on approach when it went down in heavy fog, impacting a densely populated residential area near Sculpin Street and Santo Road. So these are two fatalities of the plane crash, two people that have been found to have died, okay? Ooh, y'all, look at this video here. Look at some of the damage. Lost the wind and then came crashing into the sky. Look at how this guy. Look at that. So they must have now removed the plane. I don't see the plane in the wreckage. Do you guys see the plane in the wreckage? Wow, oh my God, look at this house right here, y'all. Look at right here. Oh my God. That truck is completely impaled into the side of that house and it caught on fire. Oh my God, the poor people of the San Diego neighborhood that have been affected by this. Look at that. It looks like a bomb exploded. Oh my God. I'm giving you still pic images moving across the scene. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, so it's going around in a circle, right? This car looks like it got crushed into the road. Like it got crushed into the concrete. Oh my God. Lost the wind and then came crashing into the sky. This is just devastating. Look at this picture, guys. It looks like the plane or something hit something in the road, that car, and crushed it into the street. Lost the wind. Look at the house that the truck ran into, however have you, got pushed into, whatever. Like, that is devastating. Oh my goodness. We are live this morning covering the San Diego plane crash. A small plane crashed into a San Diego neighborhood early Thursday, killing multiple people believed to be passengers and damaging nearly a dozen homes and several more vehicles. The crash prompted a large response from San Diego Fire Rescue, police, and other first responders. Investigators with the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board were also called to the scene, guys. So this is the plane that crashed, right? A CSDHR. Pretty decent sized plane. Okay. And this is the damage that it caused when it went down. Now they're saying that the pilot was expressing over the airwaves of fog, and he didn't really
taking off from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey.
He didn't really see himself being able to successfully land the plane, right? My God. Okay, let's listen to this news coverage.
Outside New York City, flying across the country and then crashing while trying to land in fog in San Diego. The plane crashing right into one of the U.S. military's largest housing neighborhoods just before 4 a.m. this morning when families were asleep. Officials say as many as 6 people on board are feared dead tonight, homes and cars set on fire, and you could barely make out the jet. Families awakened by the explosion, running to safety with their children in their arms, some trapped in their homes by flames right at their door. Firefighters battling to put out the flames and trying to protect homes there. The horrific scene today when the sun came up. This home badly damaged, a truck burned right in the front yard. A dozen other homes damaged, about 100 people evacuated. The mangled wreckage lining the street. The fatalities were all on the plane, and remarkably, no one on the ground was killed, even with homes and cars on fire. Tonight, the investigation here and what we're learning about who was on board that jet, and one of the last questions from the pilot before it went down. ABC's Trevor Ault leading us off. He's on the scene in San Diego.
Come on, let's go! Let's go! Go! Tonight, the terrifying escape in the dead of night after a small plane slammed into the San Diego neighborhood. At least 6 people on board feared dead. More than a dozen homes and cars set ablaze. Ben and Trajana McCarty rocked awake.
All I could see was fire, and the roof of the house was torn off.
You could see the night sky from our living room.
Their neighbor Gilbert Gonzalez rushing to help as the McCarty family grabbed their children and pets.
Hey, we got to be careful. This thing's still explosive.
As I walked up, there was a kid getting, brought over the fence. It was handed down to me. I said, give me the kid. And then a second kid came down. So I'm holding 2 kids at the time.
The family rushing to safety, fearing their neighbors were still asleep.
Not awake yet.
It's okay.
They're not awake.
Cars exploding, shaking the block. Jessica Schrader describing the horror.
I woke up and I looked out the window and there's fire all in front of my house. I didn't know. I just kept hearing explosions, and the fire was up to right in front of my front door. So I'm trying to figure out how to escape with my kids.
A neighbor throwing a ladder over her back fence. She and her family jumping onto the next door trampoline to safety.
This is a military neighborhood with several bases nearby, and officials say the crash spread so much jet fuel across these front yards, they had to approach this as if it were a wildfire.
The Cessna business jet had taken off from Teterboro, New Jersey late last night, making a pit stop in Wichita, Kansas, before attempting to land in San Diego through heavy fog. Moments before the crash, the pilot asking for weather conditions. Air traffic control warning visibility was minimal. The pilot responding,
all right, that doesn't sound great, but we'll give it a go.
And then on final approach, seconds before the planned landing, the plane vanishing from radar 500 feet in the air, clipping a power line and crashing into this Murphy Canyon community. Well-known music agent Dave Shapiro was one of those killed on the plane. And last night, Daniel Williams, a well-known Christian rock drummer, posting these photos on Instagram showing a private jet. Tonight, the NTSB confirms that's the plane in the crash, though it's not confirmed if Williams was on that plane. Incredibly, there were no fatalities on the ground, but 8 people were injured.
I can't quite put words to describe what this scene looks like, but with the jet fuel going down the street and everything on fire all at once, it was pretty horrific to see.
The wreckage smoldering for hours, more than 100 people evacuated from several surrounding blocks.
And David, the NTSB says this plane likely had black boxes, which will be crucial for the investigation into why this crash occurred. But when you look at the damage to this neighborhood, David, this home ripped open. It is astonishing that everyone in these houses survived. David.
Wow. Devastating plane crash, okay, in San Diego neighborhood. A plane carrying 6 to 10 people has crashed into a military neighborhood.
550 citation, registration number November 666, Delta Sierra. It departed Teterboro last night about 11:15 p.m. It made a fuel stop in Wichita, and then was inbound, we presume, based on the flight path for landing into Montgomery Field, runway 28 right. It struck power lines about 2 miles southeast of the airport. It then collided with a house.
Wow. Some of the comments people are leaving, laughed out loud. This is not a laughing matter, though, Dylan. He says he'll stay on the ground. Thanks. Oh, gee, that's what happens when you slash funding at the FAA. Kevin Rossi says, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Antoinette says, oh, but the FAA that will keep the skies safe, make it make sense. Okay, maybe the FAA has done something with the funding of the fuel for the planes. Making air travel great again. Of course, everybody's going to blame this on Trump. Trump is to blame is the next comment from Gabriella Sanders. Okay. Let's see what the comments are after Gabrielle says blame it on Trump. Sam says, nah, it's probably that Russian girl everybody keeps talking about. Okay. Gabriella Sanders, he was the pilot. Gabrielle Sanders, yeah, how dare he allow fog near an airport? Gabriella responds to Justin Peck, too bad no one told him. Justin Peck, when you gut the department that are trying to keep the skies safe, this is what happens. In 4 months, there have been more plane crashes than ever. Yeah. Lots of mixed emotions of just where and how the plane crash could have happened. Okay. So where how it happened, we know where it happened in a San Diego neighborhood. Okay. Following the pilot, letting everybody know over the airways that he did not feel safe to land, right? So there have been fires in 15 homes, more than 100 people evacuated. Wow. So we're just covering breaking a small plane has crashed into the San Diego neighborhood and what authorities are calling a direct hit to multiple homes. About 15 homes have caught fire, as well as vehicles and people living in several blocks are being evacuated. Dave Shapiro was a U.S. music agency co-founder. He was one of the people killed in the San Diego plane crash. Okay. A music agency said 3 of its employees, including its co-founder, died on the private plane that crashed into a San Diego neighborhood, guys. So we are going to send our many blessings to the family. Okay. To all of the families of the small plane that crashed into a San Diego neighborhood. Direct hit to a lot of homes in the San Diego neighborhood. That is a piece of the plane. That is a piece of the plane. A fire chief described the scene of the crash as a gigantic debris field.
They're not letting you into the neighborhood?
No. I think if we go as a group, that'll be fun.
We had reports that this is a private plane. I do not have where it's from, but it was coming to Montgomery Field to land this morning.
Okay, that's just more understanding of the carnage left behind. from the small plane that crashed in San Diego. So, U.S. music agent Dave Shapiro is among those killed after a small plane crashed into a neighborhood in San Diego. The 42-year-old co-founder of music agency Sound Talent Group was one of 6 people on a private jet that went down in Murphy Canyon during foggy weather early on Thursday. All are presumed dead. Damn, the Federal Aviation Administration. So the FAA, I thought so, was the Federal Aviation Administration. Okay. Why are y'all blaming them? Were they cut funding or something by the government and what? Okay. So, Sound Talent Group said 2 other passengers on the plane were also employees, but did not name them. We are devastated by the loss of our co-founder, colleague, and friends. Our hearts go out to their families and to everyone impacted by today's tragedy, the agency said in a statement. Daniel Williams, the former drummer of U.S. metal band The Devil Wears Prada, we've heard of them, is also believed to have been on the aircraft. So I don't think there were any survivors of the small plane crash. He posted on social media on Wednesday to say he was boarding the plane with Shapiro, according to the Associated Press. The band later posted a tribute to Williams on their social media, writing, "No words. We owe you everything. Love you forever." Shapiro was listed as the owner of the plane and had a pilot's license, according to the FAA. The music executive created Sound Talent Group in 2018. Stars associated with the agency included U.S. pop band Hanson, we've heard of Hanson, American singer-songwriter Vanessa Carlton, and Canadian rock group Sum 41. Oh, wow. Today we are mourning, Hanson tweeted, the tragic loss of our longtime friend and booking agent, Dave Shapiro. Dave was fearless in life and tireless in his work, and the kind of friend you would want on your speed dial. Dave seemed to always be working on a new endeavor or to be going on. Oh, Lord, and it went over to Twitter. Hold on. So that was a tweet from Hanson. Okay. In a post on X, Hanson, who are best known for 1990s hits Bop, described Shapiro as a longtime friend. He was fearless and tireless, and the kind of friend you would want on your speed dial, the band wrote. So he always was working on new things, going on new adventures because he was always excited for a new challenge. We are grateful for the 15 years we knew him. Our hearts go out to the Dave family and the team at Sound Talent Group. Okay, look at this crash, y'all. Terrible. It crashed into a military neighborhood. People are describing it as something out of a movie. The crash occurred in the U.S. military's largest housing neighborhood. The plane appeared to strike at least one home, with around 10 other houses and vehicles being damaged. Several people were injured while trying to flee the area, and others were treated for smoke inhalation. I can't put it into words, the scene, but the jet fuel going down the street, everything on fire at once, it was pretty horrific to see, says San Diego Chief Scott Wall said. While Assistant Fire Department Chief Dan Eady told reporters that authorities will be investigating whether the aircraft hit a power line. Okay, they think it may hit a power line. Look at the carnage. The fire chief added, when it hit the street as the jet fuel went down, it took out every single car that was on both sides of the street. You can see that every single car was burning down both sides of the street. That is like out of a movie. Describing this scene as something like from a movie, Mr. Eady told reporters it was foggy at the time of the crash. He said you could barely see in front of you. Wow, like I wonder, like they said, they're looking into like, look at that, look at the burning fire flames, whether it hit a power line. It was horrifying, they are saying. At least 100 residents were evacuated to a nearby school while jet fuel rolled down the streets of the neighborhood. Officials said it was unclear when it would be safe for return. Christopher Moore, who lives on the street from the crash site, said he and his wife were woken by a loud bang and saw smoke when they peered out the window. As they fled the neighborhood with their 2 young children, they spotted a car engulfed in flames. Mr. Moore said it was definitely horrifying for sure, but sometimes you got to drop your head and get to safety. Police rescued 3 husky puppies from one of the homes, while evacuated families were spotted standing in their pajamas in a car parked a few streets away. Many military service members live in the neighborhood, which is also heavily populated by small civilian and military aircraft. Marine Corps Air Station Miramar Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport and Gillespie Field are very close by. So these are pictures of them rescuing the dogs. The authorities are yet to release details about the aircraft, but said it was a flight coming in from the Midwest. A flight tracking site listed the plane as a Cessna Citation II jet that was scheduled to arrive at Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport in San Diego from Colonel James Jabara Airport in Wichita, Kansas. Officials at the airport said it just made a fueling stop in Wichita. The flight originated on Wednesday night in Teterboro, New Jersey, according to the Flight Aware. This is pretty devastating to read. So that is our morning update from some very devastating news about a plane crash happening in San Diego. Happened last night about 3:45. Sippers, I want you guys to put your prayers in the chat for all of the people involved. And stay tuned to Tanisha Talks Teas for my latest and newest uploads. I'm always coming with the latest tea. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay sipping.